Traveling solo can be a daunting but liberating experience. Having full control and freedom to do whatever I want, wherever and whenever I want, in a foreign country where I don't speak or understand the language, was a barrier I had to overcome as someone that likes to avoid unfamiliarity. After going through one of the most challenging years of my life thus far, it was about time that I chose myself and leaped into the unknown. This video is by no means a travel guide or itinerary of recommended tourist spots to visit in Japan, but rather a diary of sorts, documenting my thoughts and feelings, not only traveling solo, but also being overseas for the first time.
I'm so overstimulated and sweaty.
In my 24 years of living, I have not set foot on a plane before. I recently quit my job without a backup plan or anything else lined up. Coming from a chaotic work and home life, I knew I deserved a break and do something self-indulgent for once. Now that I'm unemployed and have the time and money, I don't really have any other excuse. My friends and co-workers kept telling me I needed to travel, and they were right. This had to change. I always knew Japan was a dream destination for me to indulge in my nerdy little interests and experience the enriching and beautiful culture. But I knew I wanted to experience it with friends, because traveling alone is scary, but planning a trip with multiple people and trying to align schedules is difficult. Life is too short to wait for the opportunity for others to join you. I have to learn to be comfortable with myself if I wanted to enjoy life to the fullest after all. I bought my tickets around a month in advance, and admittedly this was an impulsive decision. I always knew Japan would be my first destination overseas, but at first I thought I could just have a chill trip and figure it all out when I'm there. But I quickly realized this wasn't a good idea. I was originally going to spend all 14 days in Tokyo, but after doing some extensive research and watching other vlogs, I realized I wanted to go to Osaka and Kyoto. I should probably make an itinerary. I knew there were places I wanted to go and activities I wanted to do, and luckily a month in advance was the perfect amount of time I needed when all the reservations would start opening up. I gave myself around one activity per day because I still wanted to have the flexibility to do other things, but this ensured I had something to do every day and was organized so I wouldn't be traveling to different areas too much within a day. If there was one thing I knew, it was that I wanted to minimize stress during this trip.
で、私ども乗務員までお気軽にお声をおかけください。それでは皆様、様行きなではございますが、どうぞごゆっくりとお取りください。
A 10-hour-long flight, and I was lucky enough that nobody booked a seat next to mine or around me, which was nice because I had a lot of leg room and I could get up from my window seat as much as I wanted. They offered a lot of snacks and food during the flight as well, which was nice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Haneda, Tokyo, Japan. Once again, indicate the red side watch. The time in Japan is 8:28 p.m. and it remains to be Monday the 27th.
The flight, however, was delayed about 45 minutes though, which was a problem because my taxi was booked for 8 p.m. but I arrived 8:45 p.m. but they waited, so that was nice too. Getting through customs in Japan was confusing as hell because I had no idea what I was doing, but I managed to get there in the end. I was nervously sweating the whole time and the airport was so warm. The hotel I stayed in was Dormy Inn Hachibori, mostly known for its built-in Sento, which in hindsight I'm so glad I paid the money for because I was doing a lot of walking in this trip and it was nice to come back to a nice warm spa after a long day. Their customer service was also exceptional and they offered a lot of freebies as well, such as toothbrushes, pajamas, snacks, and free ramen after 9:30 p.m. I'm so overstimulated from airport customs. It sucks and I didn't know how much it sucked. And I'm sweaty. And even though it's supposed to be really cold in Tokyo, I guess I overestimated how cold I would be because I'm sweating. But at least the buildings are well heated, which is good. But yes, this is the room. I mean, this is the entrance and there's a mirror there. This is the area where you take off your shoes and wear your indoor shoes, and I really like that they provide indoor shoes as well. A little kitchenette, the mirror, this refrigerator, and then this leads to the bathroom. Ah, nice. Toilet, shower. This is the bed. That's all my luggage. They provide pajamas as well, which is amazing. I could save some space, not having to bring sleeping clothes, which is amazing. And there's a TV, little safe. And you know what I love about Japan already? They have face towels. Australia has to step up their game because every time I go to a hotel, I need to bring my own face towels, and this is so important to me. I need to shower because I'm so sweaty and overwhelmed, and then I'm just going to sleep. It's like 10 something p.m. here. But yeah, I do have to wonder if there's a view. Not bad. Not bad at all. Problem number one. These Japanese power adapters that I bought, they do not fit. Like, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or what, but it just won't go in. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm so screwed, but you know what? That's tomorrow's problem. I'm too tired for this. First full day at Tokyo. We are going to be exploring Shibuya, and then around the afternoon we're going to go to Shibuya Sky to watch the sunset, so I hope the weather's good for that. But first, I had to make a quick stop to 7-Eleven to see if they had an Australian travel power adapter. They did not. And I refused to give in and buy a Japanese one just yet. Navigating the subway for the first time was also really confusing, but it's part of the experience, isn't it? Shibuya is one of Tokyo's largest shopping and business districts, being the center of fashion and culture among the youth. Most well known for the Scramble Crossing, it is bustling with people crossing the streets from all directions at a time. For me though, Shibuya was iconic for another reason. That being, it is the main setting in a video game I am very fond of called The World Ends With You. In fact, before I left this trip, I booted up the game and just walked around Shibuya, and it was amazing to see how I could navigate around the streets in real life just by using my knowledge of the game alone. I was going to be the most annoying tourist ever. Even the damn park was exciting for me to see in real life. After a long day of shopping and exploring, it was finally time to start heading to Shibuya Sky. I could only get tickets to the 2:40 p.m. entry, but I knew there was no time limit to my stay, so I stayed there for about 3 hours just to watch the sunset over Tokyo. And the weather was great for it as well, so I didn't really want to miss this opportunity. the time I spent there was definitely worth it. Even though it was super cold and windy and my fingers were numb and my retinas were burned from watching the sun, the view of Mount Fuji and the sunset was amazing. But now it was time to grab some dinner. I was originally going to get some udon noodles, but the line was so long, so instead I grabbed some tempura in the same building. I love how normalized it is to eat alone in Japan. They have sections for one-person dining, and I wish it was like this back in Australia as well. The famous Takeshita Street Arch located in Harajuku has lines of trendy fashion boutiques, along with people who aren't afraid to express themselves and their individuality. From streetwear to gothic Lolita to alternative punk, there's a style for anybody. There were also many gachapons, and while I'm not a fan of gacha, I had to give in and try in Japan. There was this one cute Pokemon one with all the electric rodents, and on my first go, I got my classic childhood favorite Pokemon, Pichu, so that was fun. Oh my god! One thing about this trip is that it is filled with many different themed cafes that I'm going to visit, and today we were going to go to the Owl Cafe. While they didn't really serve much food here outside of snacks and drinks, it was a very cool experience handling different species of owls, and the staff there were really friendly. There was one little owl I really liked who was on break time because it was pissed off, and just look at it.
Hungry?
Not hungry.
Not hungry.
This is by far the feistiest owl here. Just right here is
After that, I decided to visit the Meiji Shrine and Yoyogi Park nearby to get away from the crowds and wind down for a bit. Now it was time to get some actual lunch. Adding another one to the themed cafe list, this time I'm going to the Pompompurin cafe. And I have to give them credit where it's due for being one of the only themed cafes in this trip that didn't need a hellish pre-booked reservation process and allowed walk-ins. I'm honestly not a huge Sanrio person, but the side characters are really funny, like how could you say no to Muffin the hamster? Ikebukuro is not exactly a popular destination for tourists, but it is well known for its department stores that focus around anime, manga, video games, you name it. I had breakfast at Japanese Denny's, and I had to do it for the culture, for the Americans. But one thing I do like about Japan is that the background music in the stores and restaurants is very quiet, and they use music that kind of makes me feel like I'm in a little town in a video game. One thing you'll quickly get tired of in my trip is the sheer amount of Pokémon content I came to Japan for. And I'm not sorry, but I think I deserve to geek out over being in the country of the thing that has given me a lifelong fixation. Now, I was on a quest to find this specific Joltik plush, and I'm disappointed to say it was literally sold out in all the Pokemon centers. Yes, I checked, and I was not able to get one for myself. Was interesting though to see who was popular just by seeing who was sold out, but damn. I was also on a quest to find a TCG booster box of the Battle Partners set, but I anticipated that it was going to be really hard to find, especially because the official stores were not selling them. I quickly learned if you're struggling to find a specific merch, random stores like BOOKOFF or K-Book might have them. That's where I found this specific Arvin plush that I got as a souvenir for my friend. Apparently he's so popular in Japan, so he's really hard to find. I remember frantically trying to figure out how to get him out of the glass cabinet and messaging my friends, "I found him!" on the day, and this was the same day I told my friends to lose hope. It was also at this point that I gave in and bought that Japanese power adapter at Big Camera. Up until now, I was relying on the wall USB chargers in the hotel, and it just wasn't charging my power bank fast enough, and that was a problem because if my phone died, I was basically screwed. late afternoon, it was time to head to a special museum located in Azabudai Hills. This was the Pokémon Meets Kogei exhibition. I felt really lucky that my trip happened to line up with this limited time event, which has ended as of writing this, unfortunately. Giving a whole new interpretation of these creatures in ancient Japanese crafts. As a fan, this was very interesting to me, seeing these cartoon designs reimagined into something as if they were part of our real-world mythology. there was a Square Enix themed cafe here, so I decided to eat here in hopes there would be some good dinner options. If I'm being honest, it was probably the most underwhelming themed cafe in this trip. But the display room in the back was very pretty and they were very nice to let me walk in even though I didn't have a reservation. If I'm being real, I was only here for Final Fantasy VII, so it was pretty cool to see those figures in the glass cabinets. The food options were a bit limited with some items on the menu being unavailable, so I was left with no choice but to eat a Mugu pancake for dinner. So far, I've showcased my days out in the cities, but I wanted to also take some time to appreciate the facilities in my hotel. In the laundry room, there's a communal area with a huge manga bookshelf, and not to be thing Japan, but I really loved the communal aspect of Japan. You can just take any manga and even bring it to your own room, and there's an honor system that trusts people won't abuse it. There's many other parts of Japan that embrace this communal feeling, and it was really refreshing to see because I don't think we could get away with this back home. Anyway, here is the souvenirs I got so far from the past 3 days. So this is my suitcase. That side, I've literally squished all my things from the past 3 days into this big bag here, so that's full. This part though is, I can take some stuff out and then I'll be able to fit a decent amount of things as well. But yeah, I'm running out of space. Going to a different city each day meant navigating my way around the very complex Japanese subway system, and I have to give credit where it's due to whoever designed the subway lines for making it so complex to interchange train lines. And I mean this in both a good and a bad way. At the very least, the trains are very efficient and run on time, but Jesus Christ, who on earth came up with this? Google Maps was my best and only friend for those 2 weeks, and it's actually really intuitive, but there were some cases where I genuinely couldn't find my train line for the life of me. For example, Google would tell you, oh, just find exit 4, and I'd look at the signage around me and I'm like, okay, exit 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is just nowhere to be seen. The temperature regulation was not the best in Tokyo because my body couldn't decide whether it was freezing cold 1 minute or sweating Niagara Falls off the next. And I thought I was going insane. Like, I was the only person that was not wearing a puffer jacket, but everybody else seemed to be doing fine. I don't know, maybe it's just a me problem. But at least the little jingles the train station make are very whimsical. They're even different melodies depending on what line you're on.
So let's do Pokémon first. Oh wait, we have 2 free packs to open. So we'll open these. So let's do this one. Swipe. I care more about these cards than the previous ones because these are actually cool. What? Suge desu. Suge. Oh wait, yeah. Okay, opening 10 packs. Funny. Nice, very nice. Oh, what the hell? Why do they look like that? You see this? Cool. Very cool. Swipe. Did you hear that? See that? The last one had a bit of a sparkle, so we're halfway. Slay. Look, the dude. So funny. Okay, last one. Oh my god! Oh, wait, it's the immersive one! So cool! Sugoi! Ooh, very nice. Suge desu. That was a very good one to end on. And it was Dialga's pack. That was very good. Sugoi desu. Sugoi desu. Bye.
This is such a hard decision. I think I need latte.
Please choose your favorite Pikachu only one. Hey, congratulations! おめでとうございます。Yes, one more chance. お、いいですね。Congratulations. おめでとうございます。Thank you so much.
「
Pokemon Cafe was probably one of the places I was looking forward to the most. It is infamously difficult to get a reservation, but I'm glad I managed to book a spot for dinner. The food was yum and presented really well. For the next day, before I was headed to my next destination, I had to make another stop at a cat cafe in Akihabara. This was a no-brainer for me, and it was worth making the trip back. It's safe to say I had a clear favorite in the bunch. And now it was time to head to Asakusa. Initially, I wasn't really planning on doing a kimono hire because I knew I didn't have anyone to take photos for me, and knowing my socially anxious self, I probably wouldn't have asked anyone to. But after getting to Senso-ji Temple and seeing other people wearing their kimonos, the FOMO really started to kick in. So I impulsively decided to do a kimono hire anyway, for the novelty. I used Kimono Rental Visara, and bookings are central, so I did it online on the day and they let me in. I couldn't film the process, but they were very nice helping putting on the layers for me and helping me pick out a good color choice. Funnily enough, I ran into another solo traveler in the kimono hire store, and we decided to help each other out with getting nice photos in our kimonos. I've seen this happening in other solo travel vlogs, but I honestly didn't think it would happen to me too. I was definitely very glad I could get some nice pictures in though. I didn't really want to vlog while I was with the other traveler because I am very self-conscious and it feels kind of rude, so I didn't really get much footage out of today, so that's why you're only getting a PowerPoint presentation of me posing like a tourist. I will say, it was really cool to walk around the city with the kimono, and I was surprised that it kept me warm enough in this winter weather. The Senso-ji Temple was so packed as expected, so we walked around the city outside the temple area as well. It was great to get out of my comfort zone and do this with a stranger, so shout out to him, otherwise it probably would have been less memorable.
There's no photography.
I spent the rest of the day relaxing in the hotel. I don't usually go out every single day like this, so I needed to just do nothing. But can we take some time to appreciate this anti-static patch to prevent getting static shocked when touching the elevator buttons? So good. My hotel had dining facilities as well, so I thought I might as well utilize it once.
With your entire body, immerse, perceive, and become one with the art.
TeamLabs was great. Such an immersive and relaxing experience, even though it was really overstimulating, but in the best way possible.
I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their worst work.
I ate brunch at the cafe outside TeamLabs, but it was an outdoor type of setting, and this particular day was probably the coldest I experienced so far in this trip, so I needed to eat something hot. Now, this is my final day in Tokyo, so I had one more activity to do in the nighttime. So I spent my time sightseeing around the Odaiba area. This is the artificial island built around the area, and it was really quiet and gloomy, but it was such a vibe. And I present my final other reason for coming to Japan. The Kirby Cafe is a must for any Kirby fan. The music that plays in the background references the soundtrack of the video games, but jazzified. I noticed there was one song that was unreleased and it was a Kirby Cafe rendition of Two Planets Approach the Roche Limit, so I was internally freaking out. The food was also great and looked really nice. Just in general, the vibes were great. Something incredibly funny happened while I was there as well. I happened to see YouTubers Failboat, Point Crow, and Co. outside the window. What the hell, there's some Nintendo YouTubers outside the window there. But I don't know if I should go up and say hi and take a pic with them. Apparently they happened to be visiting Japan at the same time I was. It appeared they hadn't made a reservation and had to wait for an opening, so I couldn't exactly approach them while I hadn't finished my meal. So I guess it was not meant to be. It did make for this funny interaction on Twitter though. I had eaten so much because there were so many good food choices and I couldn't choose. But I ended up being so full even though I was meant to meet one of my friends for dinner who happened to arrive in Tokyo on my last day here. That brings us to the halfway point of my solo trip in Japan and the end of my adventures exploring new places in Tokyo. I do come back here towards the end of my trip for my departure back to Sydney, but for now, onwards to Osaka.